The hope of our next guest is to expand those areas of coexistence as well as expand the Christian presence in these regions. Robert Nicholson, founder, president, and executive director of the Philos project, joins us now to explain a new project, Abraham's Missing Child. It aims to bring sustainable peace to the Middle East. So then what is the Abraham's Missing Child initiative, and what do you hope to accomplish with it?
The Abraham's Missing Child initiative is our attempt to leverage changing regional dynamics for the benefit of the region's indigenous Christian communities. And when I say changing regional dynamics, I am talking about a revolutionary moment that's happened in the Near and Middle East in the last 2 years that has kind of flown under the radar for most people. The most iconic expression of this change is what's called the Abraham Accords, were a series of agreements, basically peace agreements, between the state of Israel, the world's only Jewish state, and 4 Arab states around the region. Now, of course, Israel already had a peace treaty with Egypt, a peace treaty with Jordan, but these peace treaties, which came online in late 2020, were different in that they strove for a kind of warm peace. This was an effort on the part of Arabs and Israelis, not just to not kill each other, but to actually work toward a positive future, recognizing that difference is okay and that different people can share this region together. Now, I wrote an article for the Wall Street Journal last year where I said, this is great. Muslims and Jews recognizing that bygones can be bygones, that a future can be had. I love it. But if these are Abraham Accords, what about the other child of Abraham, right? The 3 Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Christianity is missing. And arguably, the region's Christians need the spirit of the Abraham Accords, the spirit of pluralism, even more than Muslims and Jews. So what can be done about that? How can we channel that momentum toward the Christian communities? The Abraham's Missing Child Initiative is our attempt to do that. 3 events over the next year, bringing Jews, Christians, and Muslims together to come up with tangible recommendations for Christians with countries with Christian minority populations to implement in law and in governance affirmative action, let's say, for Christians who are suffering, in some places more than others.
That's an important move. Well, let's talk about this one place that seems to be very special. We spoke to Maronite Bishop Gregory MANSOUR on Lebanon's unique position in the Middle East. Let's take a listen.
In Muslim-majority countries, Jewish citizens, Christian citizens are often seen as second-class citizens. And in most of those countries, they have fled. Just Lebanon is left.
Robert, do you consider Lebanon to be a safe haven for Christianity? What threatens religious freedom there?
Lebanon has been the closest thing, I sometimes say, to a Christian country in the Near and Middle East. And of course, it's not a Christian country, but constitutionally, the president of Lebanon needs to be a Christian. And that's because historically, the country has had a very large percentage of Christians. Although Egypt has a larger number in about 8 to 10 million, Lebanon has always had a much larger percentage of Christians, somewhere 30, 40, at times 50%. And that's meant that the country's culture, the country's society has very much embodied a kind of Christian sensibility, right? And Christians are very upwardly mobile. They occupy very important positions in every sector of public life. And that's different than what we see throughout the Arab and Islamic world. So Sayyidina, the Bishop Gregory, is absolutely right. Lebanon is a safe haven for Christianity, but I would qualify it by saying that it kind of used to be. These days, all bets are off. What's happened is an outside power, the Islamic Republic of Iran, has taken the country of Lebanon hostage through a proxy militia, Hezbollah, which has worked its way into government and maintains vast armaments all around the country, preventing any attempt by Christians or anyone else from breaking this Iranian deadlock on the nation. And what we're seeing, and what Bishop Gregory and I and others are talking about, is the death of that free Christianity in Lebanon on our watch. I mean, if there is a hope for Christianity in this region at this point, it is in Lebanon. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is a slow death of that community as the Christians emigrate and are effectively powerless to get their country back on track.
Well, Pope Francis has tried to do something in this region, and he took a historic trip to Iraq last year, the first pope to make it to Iraq, to improve relations with Shiite Muslims and bring hope to his persecuted flock and try to do something just as you are. Do you believe his visit accomplished anything?
I think it accomplished a lot. And you know, messages are in some ways even more important than initiatives, right? The perception is just as important in this region as probably in others as reality. And what the Pope did in visiting Iraq, in visiting the city of the birthplace of Abraham, the patriarch of these three religions, is to give his approval, his imprimatur, in a sense, to this Abrahamic move that calls for mutual respect amid difference, right? Which is the spiritual foundation of this Abrahamic axis that's emerging, this Arab-Israeli cooperation. And I think that it cleared the way in the eyes and the minds of many of the region's Christians to join this movement and to not be afraid to affiliate themselves with a new look of diversity, right? To be able to say that we can be different and to live in this region and to feel that the world, or in this particular case, the Catholic Church, is behind them. I think it was huge. It was a watershed event. And really what we're doing now is trying to harvest really the fruit that he's planted.
Well, it's one that we covered extensively. Thank you so much, Robert, for your work, and we pray for your safety.
Thank you.